Says about Tanya, we were speaking yesterday how Rasha, if he does it bonenut, even if he does deep contemplation about why he should serve God, and that usually leads to motivation in your heart, by Rasha, since he has so much klipa, so it's very hard for him to just think about why he has to serve God and then all of a sudden change. It's usually there'll be like a blockage. It won't enter his heart. So what does he have to do first? He has to do teshuvah. And teshuvah we mean specifically feeling heartbroken and regretting for the sins he did. And through this, he breaks the klipa and he's able to start doing hitbonenut again, and then it'll finally connect. And he says, and this that you do the sins, we said that breaks the final hay. The pogem blemishes the final hay in the Yud Kei Vav Kei, and you have to do the teshuvah and uplift this fallen hay from Yud Kei Vav Kei. And when the hay falls from it gets nifgam, it gets fragmented, it gets dislocated from Hashem's name. So then the negative forces of the universe they can suck from this energy. They can become parasites for this energy. And you need to do teshuvah to block this, to be able to remove yourself from these energies. And he says, "Shehu sod galut Shechina, k'mamar Rabbeinu Zichron Revacha galu le'edom Shechina imahem." And this is the secret, says the Baal Tanya, of the Shechina's exile. That as our rabbis taught us, that when the Jewish people were exiled to Edom, the Gemara Sechem Megillah says the Shechina was with them, which means to say that why did they get the galut? Because of their sins. And then what happens when they went to galut? Shechina also. Shechita begalut. What does that mean, the Shechita begalut? The Shechina is in galut, which means that Hashem's divine presence went along with us into exile. Well, what does that mean? Hashem is everywhere. What does it mean he went to exile? Hashem is in the entire world, the Shechina is in the entire world. So it means that on one hand, Hashem is with us everywhere we go. His presence is with us wherever wherever in the world we are. But still, the Kabbalists explain differently. They mean the secret of the Shechina's exile means that the Shechina is, and Hashem's name is blemished when we sin. When we sin and we deserve exile, so that causes the Yud Kei Vav Kei to get blemished. And that's what it means, the Shechina is in exile. Meaning the Shechina is also suffering because the Yud Kei Vav Kei is blemished. So therefore, he said, and he says, and it doesn't just mean that the Jews go to exile and therefore the Shechina follows them. When you do a sin, Maaseh Edom, when you act like Esav, you're causing the energies that were supposed to go, the sparks that were supposed to Sitra de Kedusha, it goes to Sitra Achra. So now the sparks are like in Galut also. They also went out to the place they don't feel they belong to. So therefore, that's what it means Shechita ben Galuta. The Shechina also went to Sitra Achra. It's also got displaced to Galut, and it's also suffering and pain like the Jews are. When we're in Galut, we have to follow all these rules that are not according to Torah. We're under subjugation of other countries and their policies. And they can attack us, chas v'shalom, So therefore, you should know that you're doing the same thing to Shechina when you do avirot. So therefore,
how you reverse it?
Oh, so that's why you got to do teshuvah, and you bring back the fallen hay from Yud Kei Vav Kei, and you bring back those. We explained that if you do enough, you have enough zechut to do, and you do enough of a teshuvah, you can do the secret of the pasuk Chai Balav Eikainu, right? That you can make the all the sparks that the Sitra Achra swallowed. You can make it throw it up. You pop it and it throws everything up. But that's only when you do a very intense teshuvah. You have to do teshuvah. We said teshuvah means regretting, feeling bad, heartbroken for the sins that you did. Some people feel heartbroken from their sins after they did a sin, and that's really the Yetzirah's trick. A lot of sometimes the Yetzirah makes you feel bad for what you did in order that, you see, Gehenom Shevi anyways, you see, the papa, that's it, so don't try, just give up, now just do this Averah every day, there's no point in trying to be holy, you're Grezna already, Chas Shalom, and therefore he tries to trick you through the heartbrokenness to become even more filthy, Chas Shalom. But we're talking about a heartbrokenness that is going to motivate you to pick yourself up, to feel bad, and saying, like a guy that goes to the doctor says, listen, you have diabetes. You cannot drink Coke anymore. You cannot have sugar. You got to watch what you eat. Oh, wow, really? Diabetes? Oh, no. That's it. I got to change. I got to fix myself up. That's the heartbrokenness we're talking about. Not this depressing and make you not motivated heartbrokenness. He says, and that's what it means, the Shechita begaluta. And he says, and the powers of your neshama, Haz Shalom, they get they're milubash in you. They get exiled into the animalistic soul of the klipa, right? Amolechet bo beodor rasha, Moshe lebir ketana shelo, nefesh ruach neshama, kvushim bagola esla. So a couple things. So you have an animalistic soul, you have a godly soul, and when you let yourself do sins and become rasha for that moment, the Baal Tanya says, so you let your animalistic soul be in the driver's seat, and you let him control the powers of even your godly soul. So number one, you took nitzatzot and you sent them into sitra achra, so that's Shechina b'galuta. And then on top of that, you made your godly soul also be subjugated to your animalistic soul. You know, the Ben Ish Chai gives a famous mashal. He says that there was a guy with a horse, right? And he was traveling towards the city, and he sees a guy, a poor man, walking, schlepping with stuff. So he says to him, "Listen, Mr. Horse, can you give me a ride to the city?" He said, "Yeah, no problem. Come, we'll do a hesed with you." He's a rich man, has his own horse. So he says, "Come, sit in the back." He says, "No, I'm uncomfortable in the back. I don't feel. I'm going to fall off. I'm scared. Do you mind if I sit in front of you? You know, I feel secure." "Okay, I guess, no problem. Okay, come sit. They come to this town, and is holding the reins because he's in the front. So he comes to the town, and he starts yelling in the town square, the poor man, "Help, help, help! This man is trying to steal my horse! Help, help!" And the rich guy says, "What, you little, what are you doing, you sneaky little thief? You're yelling at people as if it's your horse." And the people come and they say, "Get off, get off, get off!" And they're pushing away the rich man. And he says, "What are you guys talking about? I'm the owner of the horse." He said, "Yeah, you're the owner of the horse, so why is holding on the reins? How come he has the control? Why it's not, that's a proof that he's in charge. The proof is his horse." And they had to go to Bedin and this and that, and he lost the horse. In the end, he lost the horse, But according to Allah, you have chazakah, the guy who's holding on to the item, it's a proof that it's his, unless you bring a proof through documentation that it's yours. So then the mashal is that the Ben Ish Chai says that the problem is people, they say, "Oh, Rabbi Yisar got me. Rabbi, it's too hard for me. I fell. I have such a big desires. I can't fight it. It's too hard. I'm broken. Yitzhara is in control of me. I'm big klipa." And I understand. It's very hard to break that klipa. Problem is, why did you let yourself get to that point? Why did you let the Yitzhara in charge? Why did you give him for 1 minute the control? Why did you let him bring onto you the klipa? So then it's very hard to get out. So therefore, he says, once you're in that moment, you become rasha. That's what happens. The animalistic soul comes in control. And then you become a sinner who does sins multiple times, not just one time. But then he says, but then when you do teshuvah, breaking your heart inside of yourself, nishbera ruach tuma sitra achra veitpardu. The pasuk says, right, you cause the impure spirit inside of you to be shattered. And the Zohar quotes from the pasuk in Tehillim chapter 92, and then all evil doers will be scattered. That when you do teshuvah and you break your heart for this, that you feel bad that you did these sins, that causes the evil spirit and the control that the animalistic soul had, it shatters it, it breaks it. The klipa breaks, and then the person's able to be more conducive to do mitzvot, as opposed to just having like this spiritual blockage that he had before. He kama menifilata vegam nitzava, and then he'll be able to have the divine spark inside of him rise up from her fall and keep standing, like we're going to explain later on. Okay, so that was the end of chapter 17. Now we'll start chapter 18. So he said last time that we quoted the pasuk, Hashem said that teshuvah is very close to you. Me'od, it says in the pasuk, very. What does it mean, me'od? You have to have a good understanding why it said very, me'od. He says, even if your mind is weak and you don't have such a mental appreciation of Hashem and the mitzvot, or you don't have such a deep understanding and of the greatness of Hashem, to why I should serve Him, and it's such a low understanding. He has such an elementary understanding of Hashem that he can't even do it bonenut. Even when he tries to meditate on the greatness of Hashem, that really doesn't motivate him either to serve Hashem. He says, even so, you should know it's still very close to you to be able to do teshuvah. To do all the Torah, study all the Torah, and do the mitzvot. How? He says, in your mouth and your heart, that to the genuine depths of your heart with fear and love. And if you follow this approach, what's this approach? Shi ahava musuteret shebelev klalut Israel. He says, so if you can't do meditation to psych yourself up to serve Hashem, he says there's another path that's available to everybody, which is, he says, to do what? To realize, to involve the dormant love you have in your heart. Every Jew, deep down, connects to Hashem very easily and has love for Hashem tremendously. That is where does this come from? Shehi Yerusha Lano Me'avotenu. It's an inheritance we have from Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, from our Avot. And he says that it's not something that you need to acquire. You're born with it. You have it. So the question is, how do we wake it up? And you should know it's sleeping. It's like dormant. You got it's like in hibernation. You gotta wake it up in order to make it alive. And usually you can meditate and make your own new one, a new love for Hashem. Or you can wake up your old one you have from your forefathers. How do you get it up? Okay, so this is what we need to speak about in the next class. But he says you have it inside of you deep, and that's another way you could go and psych yourself up for a service of Hashem, to realize there's a physical inheritance and there's also spiritual inheritance. Baruch